Welcome to I May Be Wrong.
I don't know what this world is coming to.
But I don't think so. We're broadcasting from the greater Nashville area, the home of country music, beyond the borders of political correctness and identity politics. Facts and faith are our demarcations. Truth lights our path.
Here's the Barry White of Podcast Radio,
the Venerable Alfonso Ashworth.
Well, welcome to another exciting episode of I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So. Of course, I'm Alfonso Ashworth. Glad to be with you today. There's a lot happening. I got somebody great lined up in the queue. He's been with me before, and he's been on several times. Todd McKinley, of course, and he's got a lot of exciting news that he wants to share. And also, we got a topic that we want to discuss. If you want to chime in, you can find me at I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So.com. Or you can find me on Facebook. You can go to Facebook Live and find me at Al Ashworth, or I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So.com. Of course, you can go to my website. I've got my books on the website. I've got merchandise that you can support us with. If you would like to become a contributor to the show, you can do it there. Or if you would just like to subscribe, you can subscribe to the show right there on the website. And of course, there's a lot happening. There's so much happening right now. It's hard to describe what is going on in this country. It is insane that we are locked down, locked up, closed in, completely under control of the scientists. The scientists are controlling the government. The scientists are controlling our economy. The world is locked down. There has never been a time in the history of this country that we have locked down this country because of a virus. And I'm just sort of, I'm amazed at how many people are, falling for this okie doke. They just fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And of course, we got a lot to talk about and a lot to discuss. So I want to get right into it. I want to welcome to the show my friend and someone I've grown to admire. He's doing a lot of things. He's got a lot of things happening right now. I want to get it right into this. Mr. McKinley, welcome back, sir.
Hey, I appreciate you having me back on your show.
Man,
love it, by the way.
I'm glad to have you back on. I want you to come on more often. I know that you're a very busy guy because you got a lot of things happening. And tell the audience exactly what it is that you're doing right now that they would be interested in and want to know about.
Well, this afternoon, I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Manny Sethi, who's running for Senate in Tennessee, as you well know.
Yes.
Once I publish that article on I Vote Tennessee, which is the letter I, votetennessee.com, and it's also ivoteamerica.com. Once I publish that, I'm going to launch my Facebook page, which is the Todd McKinley Commentary. Once that's out, I'll have all my articles on there. And of course, in the next few weeks, I'm going to be launching a podcast of the same name, the Todd McKinley Commentary.
Well, you got a lot happening. You got a lot. And, I'm sort of jealous. I'm jealous. I've heard, a lot of people speak in the political spectrum in the last few weeks. And, of course, we just recently had before all this virus thing shut everybody down, we just had a event here in my local community where we had some of the people running for Senate actually come. And Dr. Manny, man, I'm telling you, this guy is spectacular. He is
absolutely
spectacular. And I'm jealous. I'm jealous that you're going to be interviewing him before I get a chance. But in any case, I'm proud. I'm proud for you. I want you the show to do well, and I'm going to do everything I can to promote your new podcast and what you're doing because you are a great American. Of course, you served. You served in our military during Iran, Afghanistan, right? Iraq and Afghanistan,
correct. Yeah, 20 years, and I retired in 2016. Yes, sir.
Yes, and you also served time in the White House. Tell the audience what your job was at that time in the White House.
So I've served there like really two separate occasions, if you will. 6.5 years in the Army at the White House Communications Agency, which is part of the White House Military Office. I did a variety of jobs there. One of the main jobs I did kind of toward the end was about 3.5 years worth of traveling with the Vice President of the United States. Wherever he would go, 24/7, 365. Myself or one of the other four guys that had this duty would be right there with him. We work hand in hand with the military aide, carrying the communications football, and of course the military aide carries the nuclear football. And we're really a team called the Emergency Actions Team. And of course, any decision that would ever need to be made in any sort of emergency could be made by myself, the military aide, the physician to the president, and the special agent in charge of the Secret Service detail. And of course, any national security advisor designated on the vice president's half. We can make those decisions that need to be made for the country as far as the continuity of the government, continuity of the presidency, and all those good things. And quite an interesting job. It was a TSSCI, top secret secure compartmented information assignment with Yankee White, which is presidential level access clearance. And a lot of interesting things that we did, but it's pretty much about as much as I could say. And of course, you can go read any number of books or look at any number of movies about this stuff that's out there. That you can find a lot of it in the open source. But pretty interesting job to say the least. And of course, since retiring, I've done a lot of stuff with the Trump administration as an associate staff, doing a lot of advanced work for primarily the vice president, and of course some for the president. But I don't speak for the administration, obviously, but I do that on an as need basis. If they need me and I'm available, I'll go do that job. And of course, as an associate staff, you can do political events. You can also do official events. So you're not hindered by the Hatch Act like official government employees are.
Right. And that's a lot to take in because you've done a lot in these last few years and last few months. Of course, at one point you were considering running for office. And of course, you gave it a great shot at doing that. And we still look forward to you doing it in the future because I think you would be great as a public servant and serving this great nation in any capacity. And of course, with your advanced knowledge of what's going on, tell my audience what should we be concerned about with the present situation with the virus, the government, the lockdowns. What is really going on right now in our government? Right.
Well, one of the jobs that I did, in the military, like I said, the Vice President's Communications Response Officer, which is now called Vice Presidential Response Officer. I just described kind of the details there. We did continuity of the government, continuity of the presidency. One of the things that we would do is occasionally tabletop and go do these exercises with regards to pandemics and things of that nature. So I just tell everybody, be aware that, you could get sick, or you get sick any day. Practice good hygiene. And of course, the social distancing, that's a good thing, obviously. But I think whenever you have governments, especially at the state, local level, whatever, that wants to get heavy handed. And of course, like in Virginia, for example, they want to start pushing all this gun legislation, all this other stuff, as if it's part of the pandemic, as if they're doing something to help the pandemic. Be wary of governments like that, government overreach. If the government just gives you some good guidelines and things of that nature, take it for what it's worth. Maybe you exercise those those cautions, social distancing, etc. But be wary of government heavy-handedness, because in a situation like this where people think, oh, well, they're looking out for my best interest, people just end up going along, with the program. And then you end up having law enforcement officers that end up just essentially doing their job. They end up following the will of the governor or president or whoever. And of course, if you look at Kentucky, for example, he's sending out state troopers to churches to take down license plates and of course things like that. And if you think those people that went to church aren't going to get reprised against, you have another thing coming. It's very likely that those people could be targeted. And that's what you got to watch out for, things like that.
Well, you got Michigan. You got the governor in Michigan that is basically controlling people almost on every aspect of their lives, well beyond what this virus could do. And as you just said, Virginia, that is taking advantage of the situation and trying to get more gun legislation, voter control, where they're trying to get it where people can pretty much vote without having to have an ID or any type of control over the voting. And I don't want to make this all political because we can go both directions in regards to what is happening with the Trump White House versus the Obama White House versus the Bush White House. Everybody has a skin in the game. And what we have to realize is that we, the people, are the ones in control. We control what is happening by our vote and about our ability to protest and about our ability to speak up and tell our government that they're not going to take our rights away. Now, maybe that sounds a little bit radical for some, but what do you think people could do at this time as patriots and as Americans to sort of make sure we don't lose what rights we have?
Yeah. Well, I tell everybody, take it serious, but at the same time, don't just go along. Don't just say, well, it's a special situation, so I don't mind if they infringe just a little bit on my liberties here and there. Well, the next thing you don't deserve liberty, and you also don't deserve, any of the safety that
Right.
liberty provides you. I think it was John Adams or maybe Tom. I can't remember the exact quote. Maybe it's Ben Franklin. Had a quote about liberty. If you give up a little bit of essential liberty for some safety, you deserve neither.
Right.
So be very wary of that. Exercise your liberties, at will, and force the government to crack down on you. And that's the way I look at it. I'm not saying to go out and be a radical, and go out with a gun out in public and waving it around like a
Right.
madman. But go out and do the things you normally need to do on a daily basis, and force them to crack down on you. And that way you can point to that and say, see. They're not actually looking out for me. They're using this to crack down on my essential liberty.
Yes.
And some places they are doing that, and some places they're not. But be very wary of that. I mean, don't just go along to get along.
Well, once we head down that slippery slope, it's hard to climb back up again. Once they
Right.
get you over that top and headed downward, it's almost impossible for you to get the grip to get back up. And I'm afraid that many of Americans, especially with the right to keep and bear arms, the right to freedom to assemble, our religious rights, that, of course, the government has no reason to stop people from being able to worship in any
Right.
manner that they see fit. Now, we may not always agree with what that is, and we have our differences on it in many cases, but in your part of the woods, in your neck of the woods, up in East Tennessee.
Right.
How are the people in your region coping and dealing with this pandemic?
I think some are doing just kind of the best they can. Some are being a little sarcastic with it. Some are just going about their normal daily lives. I know some people that haven't shut down their work because they have a lot of essential work that's going on. So they're going to work on a daily basis. Some people are obviously on modified schedules or out of work, especially a lot of people in the service industry. My niece, who came over yesterday and did a little cleaning to make a little money because she works in the service industry. So she's, doing a little something on the side if she can. But whenever you talk about the religious services, for example, the government has a responsibility to say, hey, here's what's going on. Here's the possibilities of something happening, whatever it could be. You give us the best case scenario. Then, of course, maybe give us the worst and allow the people to decide whether or not they want to go to church and take the chance of being sick. But don't tell the church they have to close.
Right.
But we should go in fully equipped with all the knowledge that we need, and let us make the decisions on our own. Let the people that go to churches or go to work or run businesses make the decisions on their own. I think that's probably the best way to go about this. And I think in the long run, most Americans would make the right choice, whether or not they want to go to a restaurant or go to work or have a business or go out in public. I think that's the best way to go about it.
Right.
Put the information out there. And let the American people kind of decide. And if it gets to a situation where, we truly need to shut some stuff down, then, hey, let's shut some stuff down. But, don't tell people they can't go to church, and don't tell people they can't go, buy groceries or something like that. But let's be very careful with this. And, of course, governments can take full advantage of these situations. And, of course, we're seeing that in a lot of places. And I think people need to learn this and use it as a lessons learned for the next time.
Well, what I'm concerned about, I just had somebody respond on my page, and they're pretty much against anything that I post. And,
all right.
They just said, please slow down so we can understand you. And,
okay.
And of course, no, they're not talking to you. They're talking to me.
Oh, okay.
Let me address this. You know what I'm really more afraid of than what the government is doing? I'm really afraid of the ignorance in this population when it comes to our freedoms.
Right.
I'd be surprised. I guess I'm surprised and more now than I used to be, because I used to understand that most people were taught civics in my
Right.
generation. They were taught civics. They were taught to respect our flag. They were taught to respect the Constitution. But more and more Americans that call themselves Americans, that call themselves Christians, are starting to accept the tyranny of the government just because they disagree with someone's politics.
Right.
How do you address that as a person that was going into politics when you are confronted with these type of people? How did you generally address that, Todd?
You know, I say, hey, everybody has every right to their opinion, but they don't have the right to their own facts.
Correct.
I like to base my opinion and my thoughts and my political ideology based on facts, based on reality, based on history. What has worked, what hasn't worked. You know, I always say, you know, bipartisanship or compromise isn't necessarily a four-letter word. I think if the other person has a good idea, whether it's a Democrat, a liberal, or whatever, you know, take that good idea and use it and make it your own. Now, sometimes people have great ideas that, you know, that aren't necessarily Republican or conservative, you know, but let's recognize other people can have good ideas, and we should be able to work together and leave each other alone to kind of exercise our own rights as we see fit and our own liberty. But whenever it's other people want to enforce their idea on you, you know, that's where the buck stops right there. You know, you don't have the right to enforce your will on other people. You know, as long as you're not hurting somebody else, you should be able to be whoever you want to be, whether you want to be a liberal or the most leftist person. Right. But, you know, the leftist ideology is more about control,
yes.
You know, on other people. And that's what they want to inflict on other people. And those of us on the right are saying, hey, hold on a minute. You have every right to exercise those beliefs, but you don't have every right to inflict it on other people. You know, so that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and of course,
exercising your own. Yeah.
I'm not running for office, and I have no intentions of running for office, but I will express my opinion in terms of my rights as far as an American citizen and how those rights are given to me, not by man, but by God, those inalienable rights, the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And so I will defend those to the last breath. My concern at the moment is how many Americans are willing to capitulate with foreign governments, China, Iran, Iraq, they will go for any government except the one under President Trump. That's concerning. And the media,
very, very concerning.
The media,
dangerous.
The media has decided to side with other countries, other nations, and overlook the rights of the American people. Now, of course, and we just got a few more minutes, so I want to get some things in. Tell the audience, again, what is it that you're doing that they're going to be interested in, and lay it out for them.
Yep. So I'm getting ready to launch the Facebook page. As I said, it's the Todd McKinley Commentary, and you can find that once I launch it. It'll be probably tomorrow. It'll go live, and you can just simply search at Todd for House. It's TODD, the number 4, HOUSC. That's also my Twitter handle. Or you can follow me on Facebook, Todd McKinley, or Todd A. McKinley is my personal Facebook page. Everything I post there, I post as public anyway, so everybody can see it, so nothing's hidden. And then, of course, I'm going to do a podcast. Like I said, it's going to probably launch at the end of the month or maybe the 1st of May, called the Todd McKinley Commentary as well. And I'll post that on the Facebook page and then share that out on my Twitter handle as well. And, of course, looking to have some really good, different candidates for office. And, of course, a lot of folks who, whether they are left or right, a lot of people that are nationally known and the people that are very, very popular in the state. For example, this afternoon, I'm interviewing Manny Sethi, Dr. Sethi, who's running for Senate. Yes. And I'm looking to get that out there. And, of course, I publish those on I Vote Tennessee and I Vote America, which is the letter I and Vote Tennessee. You can follow me there. And, of course, follow all the good authors there. And a great conservative platform. And, of course, I post a lot of articles there. And you can check those out even in your home state across this whole country. There's a lot of those things on the different platforms across there. Right.
And, the one thing that I can say that I've been upset about is many conservatives, especially those with a lot of influence, are too soft.
Right. And here's the thing.
Soft.
You have, especially like the conservatives from the old days. And I'm not bashing any conservative, mind you, but you have these folks that want to be liked. It's
right.
It's like, think about George H.W. Bush, for example, how whenever he passed away recently, how they spoke glowingly of him.
Yes.
Oh, he was such a great man. And then you go back and you look at how they bashed him while he was president.
Correct.
I say it's like this: be who you are. Exercise your rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, especially those inalienable rights. And do what makes you happy, and of course, help other people. And the way I look at it is, they're not going to like you anyway, so don't go out of your way to kind of ingratiate yourself with them.
Yes.
If they don't like you now, they're not going to like you when you die. They're just only going to try to use your death to try to say, oh, see, this was a Republican we like, this was a conservative we like, but this new modern conservative, the new Republican, we don't like them. But of course, you'll get somebody like, say, Mike Pence, for example. He'll make a great vice president, as he already is. But once he becomes president, they'll hate him. And of course, once he passes away, they'll be like, well, he was a great man after all,
They're just hypocrites. And that's the one thing I despise on either side are hypocrites. I can say that on the Republican side as well, where they said one thing and do another, or they side with someone and then they say they're not going to. That's the one thing that I like about President Trump. You're going to get unvarnished. You're going to get what you're going to get. The media, they don't like the president, but he does not take backstage and just hide from them. He confronts them, and they can't stand that.
Well, during his press conference a couple of days ago, whenever he played that video, he used their words against them. And then they want to say, well, that's propaganda. Right. It's not propaganda if I'm using your words that you said in context, and not selectively editing, using them in context, using your words against you. That's not propaganda. It's only propaganda if I produce something that looks that paints myself in a glowing light. That's propaganda. The Nazis use propaganda. The communists use propaganda. Using your own words against you is not propaganda. And of course, they don't realize that. It makes no sense to me.
Well, I'm going to do everything that I can to help promote your new venture or your podcast. And of course, anyone that you can send my way, please do. I'll be glad to get them on the show. We got a lot of work to do before November. We got a lot of things that are happening with this virus that no one knows. This country, I'm not saying that the deaths are not important to talk about. They are. Every life matters, even the life in the womb. Go ahead.
Let me throw one thing in there. New York just added 4,000 new deaths to their total of coronavirus death. People who never were diagnosed with coronavirus in the first place. People that are dying of other things, and all of a sudden, maybe after the fact, you do an autopsy. Well, they had some coronavirus detected, and then they say, well, you died of coronavirus. Right. Even though the person may have been in the hospital on their deathbed for lung cancer. Correct. Oh, it was coronavirus. It was coronavirus that killed them.
Yes.
No, it wasn't coronavirus. It was the lung cancer that killed them.
Now that's propaganda.
Right. Absolutely.
That's propaganda.
And that's used to scare people, so that way you'll just go along. And let me say one more thing about going along. Think about the Patriot Act, for example. People say, well, I have nothing to hide, so I don't care. It's not a matter of nothing to hide. You should care. And you should care whether or not your government can abuse its authority and power, whether it's against you or your neighbors or somebody else, because at some point it will be you.
Yes. At some point, they're going to come knocking. They're already doing it. With, like we said earlier, with the with the fines and the penalties and the Gestapo tactics, where they're shutting down the churches that are trying to just have a drive-in service. You can go drive in to get your liquor. You can go drive in to get your McDonald's burger. You can go drive in to other things, but you can't drive in to go to church.
I can't go sit in my car and listen to a preacher who's a mile down the way and worship with people who are in their own cars, socially distanced from me. Right. I mean, come on now.
I blame the church leaders for being so cowardly. That's who I blame.
Yeah. And I get they're trying to keep people healthy.
To cooperate.
Yeah, I say don't cooperate. I mean, have your service, but just tell your parishioners saying, hey, listen, if you're scared of being sick, we understand if you don't come, but we're going to have our service just the same.
Yes.
You're more than welcome to come, but be aware, hey, that you could get sick. Disinfect the pews, disinfect things by all means.
Wear a mask.
Exercise good caution,
right?
But don't shut down your service. I mean, I say don't do that. If people don't want to come, they're not going to come, just for whatever reason.
Right. Well, Todd, it's always a great conversation with you when you come on, and I always enjoy it. And man, I can't wait till your program gets cranked up. I know you're going to do great. I know you're going to do a great job, and I'd love to come on.
I'll get you on there.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm going to get you on there.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to swap up. We'll do that because I love helping people out that are trying to do the right thing according to this nation. Give you the final thoughts on it. Of course, we got a long road ahead of us with this virus, with the economy. If I ask you, when do you think we're going to get this country back to going again?
I hope by May, at some point in May. probably the end of the month, we'll probably know whether or not certain businesses are going to open up or not. I think in a lot of these states that are out there that have had no real major issues, let's start opening some things up. And of course, just give the warning saying, hey, be very careful of X, Y, and Z. And of course, exercise good caution. But put it out there for the American people, the business owners, to make the choice whether or not they want to open back up.
Right, and that's the whole thing. Give the American people some credit for having some common sense.
Right.
Most of us were taught by our grandparents to wash our hands. Right. To not cough on someone.
And I would say, for the time being, make sure that the IRS isn't putting fines on people who can't maybe make a tax burden or something like that. Or, people who own, say, a house or apartment complex, give people a little reprieve, a little break on some rent or something like that. And don't start evicting people. You know what I mean? Let's exercise good caution and common sense whenever it comes to things like that. But allow people to start opening things up as they see fit.
Yes. Well, Todd, man, it's been great having you on today. I look forward to having you back again and having these conversations. And hopefully the next time we talk, the country will be better on a better footing and people will be back to work and the economy will be roaring again.
Yes,
and
sir.
America will be great again and America will be free again and America will keep her light shining for the world to see. And, of course, I love you, brother, and thank you very much.
All right, and let's not make sure we don't vote for Joe Biden. Let's keep him out of office.
I hear you, brother. God bless you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Al. God bless.
Okay.
See it.
Of course, that was my friend and, of course, my fellow patriot, Todd McKinley. He's been a part of the program. And, I want to take a couple of minutes to address something. And this gets under my craw. It really does. Look, if you don't like what I say, if you don't like what I post, this is a free country and you can let the doorknob hit you. And look, you don't have to purchase anything. You don't have to participate. I don't need your opinion. You're free to have one, but I don't need it. And one thing for sure, I am not going to sit back and just watch and wait for people to say whatever they want to in terms of their comments, and then I'm not supposed to say anything about what they're talking about. That's not going to happen. That dog is not going to hunt, and I will defend myself. Carl Ellison Mitchell says, get him out. Yeah, because, look, I am a free American. I'm not a slave. I'm not in your shackles. I'm not on your plantation. I'm not on your master's plantation. I'm not going to sit back and let you take my freedom without a fight. And I'm surely not going to shut my mouth because you don't like what I say. Period. Case closed. But besides that, hey, I'll defend your right to say what you want to say. I may not like it, but I sure will defend your right to say it. But you better bet everything that you want to put on the table that Alfonso Ashworth is not going to sit back and let you just have your way. That's just not going to happen. Of course, I see those that are chiming in. A lot of my followers, a lot of people are wanting me to go an hour on this program, and I really, really would like to. And, of course, I need as much support as we can get to get the program to going to where we can put more time into it, to get more guests like Todd McKinley, who's also starting his own podcast. And we've already talked. He got some ideas, and I think he's going to do great at it. Lonnie Poindexter, my mentor, I'm looking to get him back on soon. Me and Lonnie go way back. Of course, you've heard people on the program like Alfonso Rachel, who everybody knows this brother is hot and on the mic all the time. Of course, you've heard Stanley Levy with Black Man Thinking. We've had Pastor Bruce Rivers. We've had many, many people on this program, and I'm looking to get more. We're looking to get more people on the program. So, we're not going anywhere. And come November, we're going to see which direction this country is going to go in. Is it going to go toward the socialist Marxist direction, or are we going to stay a free people under a free capitalist society to where we can come and go and do commerce and build and grow the economy back to where it was. So God bless you. I say that. God bless America. And of course, God bless our children, and peace.
You've been listening to Alfonso Ashworth, the Barry White of Podcast Radio. Go forth and share his message. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. Remember, no two people can ever occupy the same place at the same time. You were uniquely and wonderfully made. Born an original. Don't die a copy. God bless. Peace.